Oh, hey, I'm Jack, and I have the diabetes. But really, yeah, it is day 4 of the A to Z 2017 challenge for the iJack blog on the Cryton Chronicles, and I'm gonna go into a little bit about my history with the diabetes. Yeah, if interested in A to Z information, I'll have some links in the description below, and I'll get into more of that at the end of the video. I had my first, I guess, diagnosis of diabetes in 2007. I skipped all the little pre-diabetes stages and just went all out. And in 2007, um, I had been stricken with, I thought I had influenza B or whatever that A or B. I think B is the worst, but just influenza. I don't get sick too often. Um, and I was feeling like I was dying. Um, I couldn't, my vision was going, everything was going. At this point, I had already kind of thought I was getting to a bad point. My weight was, I was close to 300 pounds, I'd want to say, maybe more. The scale said more, but eventually, when I got my readouts, when I was hospitalized, they were a little lower, but because here I know it was like 315 or so, and I'm at my grandma's, so it's a little. I'm literally on just the floor, and it's kind of odd. The lighting's gonna suck, so I apologize. But yeah, so um, during this phase, I was, like I said, I thought I had the flu. I couldn't sleep. I can never sleep when I'm sick anyway. But yeah, my vision was the biggest issue that I was having. I was blurred. I couldn't see anything, and it had been a week or so build up, um, and um, I had to. I came here actually. To my grandmother's here. It was the day that I usually visit. It was Mondays, I believe. Still is today. And I think it was back then too. Monday was pretty much the day I visited. And I drove here pretty much, I don't even know how. Um, it was a messed up day. I know I went to Rainbow Foods and I was passing out almost on their, like, they had like a little lobby kind of thing, and I was almost passing out there. I locked my keys in my car, and it was just a messed up day. So I had to like have somebody come out and get my keys out, and then I decided to drive to my grandmother's, and um I all in this period I had decided that I was finally going to go to the doctors. I usually avoid doctors, so I just I don't like doctors and hospitals. So um, but the drive here was pretty insane because I just kind of went on like autopilot. I just kind of knew where to go, and I could see the vehicles ahead of me, but it was I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It was like just blurred vision, like double. I don't even know. It was just it was incredibly hard to see. I couldn't read signs. I just kind of was like I said, I was like on autopilot. I come every week to visit my grandma, so it was kind of just a familiar path. When I got here, I could barely kind of function. I just wanted to pass out. Um, I I didn't feel safe driving to the hospital or to the doctor at that point, but as luck would have it, my brother, who is usually working, I had called him and he had just happened to take the day off, and so he was able to come get me, and we went to the hospital. And I was eventually, after they poked and prodded me a bit and everything. Um, they had determined they thought my left kidney was failing. I believe it was the left, and I know it was kidney failure, and that they had mentioned. And I had a blood sugar. They knew right away, I guess. They could smell it on my breath, like the sweet. I don't know. So, but yeah, they had figured out that they had tested my blood, and I had a blood sugar level of 1200 something. It might have been 1300 something. It was incredibly stupid high, and they said that I should have been in a coma or possibly dead. So I don't know. That's just what the doctor had told me after the fact, and I probably was about to pass out. I mean, like when I was waiting for just to see the doctor, I was like passing out, all like sprawled out on whatever I could find on their in their lobby or whatever. So it really sucked. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so that was a little of a surprise, I thought, because I thought I had always associated that with more of a at birth kind of thing. Um, but then I guess I realized that if you're type 2, I guess you can go to type 1. Not vice versa, though, except that was kind of my case. Um, Eventually, I got out of the hospital, and I had to really kind of obviously they taught me how to while there for like I was there for like 3 or 4 days. I was in the hospital. They teach you how to do the insulin and the they go over the dietitian stuff. The dietitian comes in, they teach you how to diet, what to eat, carbs, points, all these things. So I had a lot of literature and 3 or 4 days worth of talking with doctors and nurses about it. And so when I got out, I was kind of just on my own. Originally, I had to do syringes. Oh man, needles. Oh yeah, that sucked. I don't like needles, but I did it. I, I did my insulin for a period of time, and then I started looking stuff up online, which was probably a bad idea, and researching stuff and whatnot. And I kind of had then determined that I wanted to attempt a like more naturalish way, I guess, just like diet and exercise. And I had a lot of help with like my grandmother alone, um, making meals, prepping meals, especially in the first few weeks after out of the hospital. And so I started trying to get my diet better. I was eating just more cooked meals, more homemade stuff. My previous diet, leading up to my incident in the hospital, I would do fast food 2 times a day, at least once, 2 times a day, maybe three. And it was just bad. So, I mean, Wendy's, I still love Wendy's, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, so like Wendy's, I mean, I would just, every bite, I'd take a bite of a burger, I'd like sprinkle salt every bite. The salt's not the biggest culprit, really, actually. Yeah, but either way, I had a really terrible diet. I think I had already shifted into diet soda at that point, in terms of attempting to kind of work on being a little healthier. Otherwise, I used to slam like 2 liters of Dew and 12 packs. I could just destroy them. So, yeah. But so after the hospital, I'd gotten into dieting. I would document everything. I tried to find my notebook. At first it was really daunting, but then I like documenting stuff anyway. But just the process and keep things going, trying to make things a habit. I would I would document all my what I ate, the exercise I started exercising, what the exercise was, how long it was, how many carbs the food was, if it was kind of mappable. Sometimes it's kind of hard to say because like I ate a lot of potatoes, so it's like, oh, it's this potato, but then it was sometimes chopped up and buttered and whatever. And yeah, so the quantities were a little harder, but I had a rough estimate. You can find that stuff fairly easily. Um, and Oh yeah, so I've documented, and then obviously my blood levels. And at one point, I was still kind of lazy about getting my insulin when it was running out. And I decided after reading stuff, I don't know, it was dumb. Because obviously at this point they said I was type 1, and that didn't sound right to me because I believe at the time I believe it's you need it. If you don't get insulin, you go into a coma or you could die. Like within a brief span of time. And I think I'd forgotten my insulin once and whatever, and then I just kind of was noticing like oddities, so I decided to like experiment on myself, and I basically stopped taking the insulin and just to test how my blood levels were, and they ended up being the same. And so there was like this saga of with that whole bit, going to the doctor and showing them my numbers, and they were really impressed with my numbers. And then I was just like, well, what do you think it means if this is like, because they were like saying, well, this is like great. We have patients that are terrible with their numbers and their everything else, and I had everything documented, like I said, and then I told them, well, I didn't take my insulin during this period and this period, and they were like shocked. They were like, "What do you mean? That'd be a phenomenon, blah blah blah." Like that doesn't make any sense, and I just was like, "Well, that's what it was," and I kind of went into explaining why I was doing what I was doing, hoping to do it with just diet and exercise, and then I had to see another specialist, and when I met that guy, he was kind of pompous, whatever. But that's part of the reason why I don't like doctors. But he just came in. Yep, you're type 1 diabetic. You're on a honeymoon phase, and you're going to be back here very soon if you don't continue the insulin and the medications and stuff. And so he did offer some. I don't know if it was like a beta blocker or something that was new at the U, I guess. I think it was the U. I don't think it was the male. Either way, he said that I qualified, or he thought I qualified for a trial period or clinical trial or something for whatever this was. And I think it was just to help absorb. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't know if it was just with the sugars or whatever processing the stuff or just whatnot. So either way, I never really looked into it. He, like I said I was type 1 because I had at this point assumed then just automatically I was type 2. Otherwise, I think I would be dead. But he said that was the this whole honeymoon phase and whatever. So time went on, and with diet and exercise, I I'm sorry. I wish I could remember some of the terminology. I don't know if it's ketones or something. There was something that was like really low. They said they couldn't come back and all this. But when they did testing later on, everything was fine with my kidney. Uh, they my numbers were great. I basically it went down to like having to test myself multiple times a day, taking insulin. I had a fast acting and a long acting that I had to take. That then I just had to not take the long acting, maybe take the fast acting. I believe if you had any of the symptoms that you might be your blood sugars might be too high or too low or whatnot, stuff like that. Just to keep an eye on that and to test your blood during those times. I didn't have to continually do it before and after every meal, before going to bed, after waking up, etc., etc. It's just test while you are feeling the effects that you might think that your blood sugars are off. So, and they just said you must have been type 2. They thought maybe there was something that did happen, whether with my kidney or something else, and that it had somehow reversed or some such. And but in some of the final phases, it was basically like you are managing this great with diet and exercise. Uh, there's there was no need for medications and stuff. I was like back to like pre-diabetic or whatever before that, and yeah, and that's what it was. So um, yeah, unfortunately, over the years following that, I mean that was within a 2 year probably period, whatever. But a few years ago, um, I just noticed some of the indicators of diabetes again, kind of resurging, and yeah, so I went in my AC1, which is like I think it's like a 3 month period of blood sugar tests or whatever. A test for 3 months worth of blood sugars average and such, and it was like terrible. And yeah, I had to go back on to. Well, I didn't. I went back on to a, they didn't want to put me on the fast acting, just a long, lasting, Novolog or whatnot. So you take it the once a day at night before bed. And that was another thing with this whole thing is like I don't sleep much. So they were trying to like have these like originally all these meals, all these plans. You got to do this here, the here before bed and after bed. I'm like I sleep like 2 hours a day sometimes, a lot of times. So I don't have and like fasting period doesn't really exist because I stack all the time and I don't sleep to get that automatic fasting time of not touching any food or drink for a long time. But yeah, so I had to do the Novolog again, and then metformin, and so I did the metformin, and now there was some mix. So yeah, I started taking that, was doing all right, but over the years, I've really squandered my what I feel is like a second chance at trying to correct my diabetes and keep it at bay and to manage it because my diet then slid back into fast food. I was barely eating fast food after the hospital. Like it was like 1 to 3 times a month maybe. Um, but then it started oh every other week, oh every week, and then it was and it still kind of almost is still in that whole fast food junk food crap that yeah I just went right back to it. I also had stopped diet soda even for a while. I was doing mostly water. um, I still remember doing the Crystal Light because I was like, all right, but then I was like, oh, it's got phenylalanine lines in it, and I'm like, screw this, and usually that stuff isn't so bad, but most of those tests, and I know people will be like, oh, that's fucking crackpot, like thinkery kind of thing, quack stuff, but it's just a lot of the studies that seem to be like moderate dosages and stuff like that. Like this is all okay. Aspartame is okay at this one, this and that. And it's like, well, mine is not moderated. Mine is not. I chug it. Like I just throw down any liquids for the most part. And so it was like it wasn't like I was having like a can of soda throughout the day or every other day. It was like multiple. And I could drink an entire pitcher of the Crystal Light stuff. So I just went right back to water and whatever. So but at this, but then everything fell apart. I was still drinking a ton of soda. Diet at least, I guess. If that's some say it's worse, some say it's better, whatever. It's probably just flat out you shouldn't drink it full bodied or diet. But yeah, so basically everything kind of just went downhill. Fast food again, like I said, I wasn't exercising anymore. Like, yeah, so where I'm currently at is not good. The only the only thing that is okay is I have my weight went down about 245 to 260 kind of flux throughout the years. And they want me at like 185, which I think is laughable because that ain't freaking happening. But I weighed myself, and people have been talking about it. Looks like I'm losing weight and such. And I'm at 205 according to that scale. Whether it's accurate or not, it's give or take a few pounds. So, and that's probably the lowest I've been since like high school. I think high school I was like 205, 210. So I don't know. And I'm not working out. I'm not whatever. And so I got a bad feeling it's like maybe associated with diabetes and not necessarily anything good, obviously. So I don't know. But it could be, I felt like it could be possibly from just more frequent urinations, all those signs of the diabetes and stuff when it starts getting out of control and blood sugars go crazy. Um, like dehydration or something, and I'm trying to drink more water and yeah, but I bottom line is, well, I'm still trying to take my meds. I still take the metformin, as I said. I haven't done the insulin for a while, but that's partially because or testing my blood because my tester went wonky and stopped working and they didn't cover with insurance, and so I had to go back to the doctor and do all that, except now with the new year and my health insurance, everything kind of got screwed up. Usually I just had a paper fill out to renew my health insurance, and they had now they make you do it digital, I guess, all online, and and then I had to cancel to renew. It was dumb. I was just going after. I called multiple people trying to make sure I did this all right, but so far my stuff's still pending, so I don't even know if I can get meds or a new tester or whatever, but I'm gonna have to. But overall, I'm still gonna have to obviously really try to diet and exercise, but it's really freaking hard starting completely over until making it um, a habit again. So, and that's something I've kind of I'm hoping to try to work out with a girlfriend or just maybe friends, people who just might be interested in working out and going to the gym again, or just even walks. I love going for walks, so stuff like that. Because currently my I'm assuming that I haven't been able to test my blood, but I know a doctor visit some time ago had pretty much shown that my blood sugars were now again out of control and such, and I'd let my lifestyle slide just too deep back into the bad habits that it's now pretty much starting over fresh, and I don't even know if I can actually revert it like I had back in 2007, 2008 to just rely on diet and exercise because I really prefer to avoid medications. Although I am still, I'm like I said, I'm using the metformin, but the pill seemed okay. Although I did want to do insulin. I don't know, insulin seemed more natural to me than the pills. And the doctors didn't understand why I would want to do a shot over a pill, but whatever. So I did with the pill anyway, and I didn't have the adverse effect that some other people have because I have diabetes that runs in the family. My mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, he uh, basically passed away from complications. He was on dialysis and everything, and eventually he lost some of his foot, and leg down from the knee down on one side, and so it got really bad with him, and he kind of also obviously just kind of blew everything off and just ignored everything and just kept his lifestyle until it was pretty much too late. And I would rather not get to that point. I'm hopefully not already past that point, so I don't know. And I know this is going on for almost 22 minutes now here, 25 probably what it's going to end at, but yeah, it's a kind of a beefy topic for some people, especially if you're, you know, dealing with living with it with either yourself or someone you love. And especially it gets worse when it's kind of unmanaged and uncontrolled because I mean like they say it's you don't really die from the diabetes, but you die from the complications from having diabetes because you have a weaker immune system and all that jazz. So it just really sucks. So I'm hoping to get back on track, and like I got the history already of, you know, family who has it. Not as bad, except for my grandfather, obviously. So who had passed away due to complications. So yeah. Um, that's I guess a long ramble about diabetes and how it's affected my life, believe it or not, briefly since 2007. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in between, but those are kind of like the main points. So, yeah. I don't know if you're interested to start up a dialogue. You know, do you or anyone you know have diabetes? Have you had or they had any complications due to the diabetes? Um, how have you managed your diabetes, or how have your loved ones done so? Um, and yeah, if you take insulin, if you manage it with diet and exercise, all those kind of things, how you kind of like, how did you, how did you yourself get, more focused on making lifestyle changes because it's really hard. So, what helped you? Any tips or tricks that helped you kind of get on that path of being healthier to manage your diabetes. And yeah, anything, um, whether type 1, type 2, it'd be cool to discuss. You can do that below in the comments, or if you're watching this on the blog, you can do the comment on the iJack blog as well. So I'll wrap that up because it's at 25 minutes. So, and this is not a very comfortable situation. So this or this. So yeah, all right. Right. I'll wrap it up. This is Jack with iJack from the Cryton Chronicles, and yeah, I'll have the links below for where this post will appear on the iJack blog and the website, the Facebook, and the A to Z challenge information will all be linked below in the description. So I appreciate you taking the time. I know this is a really long video, longer than the rest, but like I said, it's kind of a bigger topic to tackle. So yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope you don't mind the length. And yeah, thanks for taking the time. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Take care.